I saw a prophetess who had recently started her own church sleeping with her own son who was crippled. It really shocked me. My name is Elsie. I am now 33 years old and I am happily married. I stay in a small town in the rural areas of Chirezi where I make a living by selling second-hand clothes. Things are okay, me and my husband, we are just pushing, and I am a Zimbabwean, by the way. So to those that see me today, they will never believe that this is the spiritual battle that happened when I was working as a maid, when this prophetess wanted to initiate me in the kingdom of darkness, and I refuse. They have no idea that I lived through a life of nightmares and spiritual battles with demons. It is just like something out of a Nigerian movie. Everything began back in the year 2015 when I was only 23 years old. I looked for work as a maid and I was working in the capital city of our country. And I then found a job. I was working in an area that is called Mandara. So when I started working for this family, they were not yet divorced. I really do not know what happened between the wife and the husband. The husband started to stay on his own. The wife was now staying on her own. So since I was still their maid, I would go maybe 3 days and work for the husband, and other days I'll be staying with the madam boss. Later on, she then told me that I should stop going and cleaning her husband's house because she was the one that had employed me. I had agreed earlier on to the terms of employment, which were not like normal for any maid. This woman, she was a prophetess. She was an upcoming prophetess. She had a small church. She had a tent pitched in her yard, and every Sunday there were people that would come to her church. She was growing and she was becoming famous because she was performing miracles. The way that she would perform these miracles, they were like this. She would blow into the mic and then people would fall. She would reveal your darkest secret just by looking at you. It seemed as if she was operating on another level. The garage was her office. The tent was the church building because she was still growing. In that house, we lived with her son who was about 20 years old. This son of hers was born with a severe physical disability and always was on a wheelchair. So after the husband had left, I started to work for my madam boss entirely after she had told me not to go to where he was staying. My duties, they were like that of a normal maid, to clean the house, to cook, but I had to do other extra things. She said to me, my son is supposed to be like a child to you, and I'm going to compensate you for the love and the care if you are going to be able to provide it for him. I was supposed to attend to everything that the disabled boy needed. There were times when I would even sleep with him in the same room. I would put him on the bed and I would sleep on the floor because he was unable to even assist him to go to the toilet. I had to help him, to bath him, to clean him, to feed him. However, there was one particular day that changed my life forever. The day when I discovered the rituals that were happening in that house. It happened, it was one afternoon, right after I had finished washing clothes. I was outside. After I had finished putting the clothes away, and when they were dried up, I wanted to go and put the boy's clothes in his spare bedroom. I then walked in without even thinking. I thought that maybe my madam boss, she was in her office, the garage that she had converted into an office because she always spent a lot of time inside of that office. I made a grave mistake of not knocking on the door because I assumed that the room was empty. Maybe the boy was with his mother. The moment that I pushed the door open and stepped inside, what I saw, it was something that I had never seen in my life. My madam boss, that very prophetess, who was seen by everyone as someone that was holy, she was on top of her disabled son. She was being intimate with him, completely naked. The most terrifying part about this was that on top of her head, she was carrying a small dark clay pot that was wrapped in 3 cloth of different colors. And out of the clay pot, there was smoke that was rising out of it. And in this room, it was smelling as if there was a rotten dog in there. And the way that she was moving her waist, it was as if she had been possessed by demons. The moment that she sensed that there was someone else that was in the room, and she slowly got out of the bed whilst she was looking at me, it was so scary. The way that she was looking straight at me, I could see that this woman, if she had a gun, she could have shot me. And this is what she said to me: "Elsie, you will go blind one day for entering people's rooms without even knocking. What you've seen here today, it will become a burden of your life if you ever speak a word to anyone about it." So I went straight to my room. I was so scared because of the things that I had seen my madam boss doing. That evening, when I was still thinking about an escape plan, my madam boss came into my room and she sat at the edge of the bed. She was not angry at me at that time. Instead, she said that she wanted to speak with me, and then she started to tell me everything that she had been doing with her son. She said, "Elsie, do you know how I managed to acquire all of this wealth? I went to Nigeria and I did rituals for my business. I was then unfortunately given strict rules to use my disabled son, and then I made a covenant to gain spiritual powers so that I can have a big church. And I am in the process of building a big crash so that when kids start to come to that crash, the spirits of those young toddlers, they can be able to sustain my prophetic powers and I can keep my wealth." She told me that the unfortunate part about it was that this demon that she went to take in Nigeria, it was a female demon which required intimacy with her son. It lasted after her son. So whenever she was possessed, she stopped seeing her son as her own son, but she saw her son as a husband to her. From there on, she started to force me to join the witchcraft. She promised me that if I was going to comply, she would buy me a house, open a large business for me, but if I refused, that demonic spirit, it was going to eat me alive. She was like, "You will be a dead woman walking." And she said, "There are dogs that are going to eat you, and no one will even know where your body is, where you would have died." To save my own self, I just nodded and I was still scared, and I said, "I agree, madam. I will do whatever that you ask of me." For a few days, I lived there at her residency, pretending to be completely happy with him. But deep down inside of my heart, I was thinking of a plan to escape. After about 1 week, on a day when she had gone to her church, I pretended to my madam boss that I was sick and I had stomach ache. The moment that she left, that was when I grabbed my small bag and I ran away. I fled that house without even looking twice, and then I returned back to the village. I thought that by leaving Harare, I had left those evil things in that house. But what I did not know was that the spiritual battle had begun. When I arrived here in the village, that was when poverty started to afflict me. I had so much bad luck. In nearly 3 years, I was someone that was followed by poverty and bad luck. This woman, the curses that she had placed on my life, they started to manifest themselves in my business. I had a small business that I had started through my other friend. So my friend, when I returned back to Chirezi, she then told me that she was involved in something that was pretty illegal, but it was still honest work. What she would do is that she would go to the big sugarcane farms where she would go and speak with those people that stay and work on those sugarcane plantations. Without the knowledge of the farm managers and the big bosses, then they would cut the sugarcane in bulk when they were at work and hide it amongst the sugarcane. Then at night, these deals you could only do it at night. You would go and pay them, get a truck and collect the sugarcane and come to Harare and to sell it. So these workers, they would only sell this sugarcane to you at night after hours to avoid being caught. This business, it was nice because the profit that we were making, it was a lot. So me and my friend, we had managed to get a lot of customers. My friend then said, instead of us wasting time using sometimes the same vehicle to go and source for some people that were brave enough to cut the sugar cane, because we will move from one compound to another. And then she said, you will go on your own and I go on my own, because our businesses, they were too big, they were competing against each other. But what I started to discover was that whenever I would be walking alone, even around 6 p.m., I would feel as if there is someone that will be following me. And I would see a person. Once it gets dark, there was this female that would always follow me. In Shona, we call it Chigure or Nyao. This woman will be dressed like a Nyao dancer following me. It will be quiet, just looking at me. And if I turned around, I would see that Nyao, it would have disappeared into the plantation. Sometimes when I would turn around, I would see a small fire that will be burning in the forest. There were other times when I would see a lion that would be walking even in front of me. When I tried to run, this lion will just disappear and I would not see it anymore. This was the prayer that I always said at all the times. God, please save me. When I would open my eyes, this lion will just vanish. So this severely crippled my business because I only could buy the sugarcane during the day, which was a massive risk. And most of the farm workers, they did not want to take that risk because I was afraid of traveling at night. And this made me to miss appointments with the farm workers because we had to give them cash first before they can attempt to cut the sugarcane whilst they were at work during the day. Unfortunately, I lost that business. One day, after losing this business, then I was in town here in Chirezi. My sister was at a place. So I went and I stayed for a little while with my sister. The problem was that my sister, she did not have a big house. She was just renting a couple of rooms and she had plenty of kids. So when it was time for me to bath, I would take my clothes, my lotion and everything so that I can do everything in the bathroom. On that day, I was bathing as usual inside the bathroom. I had just finished bathing and I took my lotion after drying myself. So When I had taken that bottle of lotion and put some lotion on my hands, and as I was busy rubbing that lotion on my face with my eyes closed, that was when I heard a hissing sound on the floor. When I looked, I then saw that there was a massive black snake. What this snake had done is that it had wrapped itself around that bottle of lotion. The snake, it was different from any kind of a snake that I had ever seen in my entire life. It had some beads that had so many colors that was tied around its tail. This snake, it raised its head and it looked at me directly into my eyes. I had never seen a snake do that. And then that was when it started to make a sound like and it was so scary. And then I screamed because it wanted to bite me. When I screamed, my sister heard that I was screaming. She rushed to the bathroom and I told her that there was a snake in the bathroom. I ran out of the bathroom. I was completely naked. The people at the place where my sister was staying, they also came and they looked around. They did not see anything. That very same night, my life turned into a living hell of nightmares. I would constantly dream of being chased. I was chased by a tall white man that was holding a gun. This man was chasing me in the forest. We ran and we ran, we ran and we ran until I was exhausted. I fell to the ground and I said to myself, if I am going to die, let me die, for I have tried. What surprised me, Brother Naishi, was that this white man, his face started to change. His body changed and he became a black man. He was whispering a language that I did not understand, but it sounded as if it was Nigerian. As for his face, it was so black, as if there was someone that had just dipped him into a drum that was full of black oil. From there on, I started to have other dreams. I would have dreams where I was being hunted in the forest by an army of white soldiers. These white men, their faces were as black as mine, but their bodies were of white people. They had dogs that were so scary. My life, it was so terrible. When I had money, I would lose it. It seemed as if the moment that I had money, something will blow that money away. I was making money, but I was not able to do anything that you can look at and say that when I was doing that business, I was able to do A, B, C. I then met my husband. My husband and I, we met here in Chirezi as well. So because of him, I started to go to the White Garment Church. So he had his uncle. When I told him about my problems that I was experiencing, he then told me that he had this uncle of his, if we could get hold of him. What had happened was that his uncle had married a woman from Manicaland and he was staying there. He left our village. Finally, when we were able to get hold of him, we traveled to Manicaland, and then that was when he assisted me. I told him everything before he could even prophesy on me, and he said that, so this woman, when I had left her house, she had cursed me, and there were demons that had been following me all along. Then he told me that in order for us to win this battle, we were supposed to pray, and we had to do strong, powerful warfare prayers that are known as go back to sender prayers. These prayers, the way that I used to do them. So he would cut a red cloth and he would give it to me so that I can go into the forest, select a tree as I would be praying, and I would be sending back the demons that she had sent to me back to him. Then I will tie that red cloth on that tree. And every time that I did this, he had told me to declare and say, let every demon that has been brought into my life by my madam boss and her charms from Nigeria to return to her completely. I am not related to him. Let the spiritual bondage return back to him and to leave me free. I would bath with water mixed with salt. So I had been told that I was supposed to do these prayers for at least about 3 months. I would pray, I would fast. My life that I was living, it was like an occultic movie. So after the 4th month, that was when a girl that I used to work with, she was working in that same street, and she called me. When she called me, I was surprised. And then she said to me, Elsie, have you heard what happened to your former boss here in Harare? And I said, I don't know anything. She said, your madam boss, she died of a horrific cow attack. I could not believe it. I said, tell me everything that happened. She explained it to me, and she said, your madam boss had gone to her farm. She had recently purchased some cattle, so she went there to see what was happening. Whilst she was there, she was standing close to where the cows were with her boys that were working for him. So she was busy on the phone with her back against the cows, and all of a sudden, then one of the cow just started running towards her. Because she was on the phone, she did not notice this in time, and then that cow charged at her and it kicked him on the chest and the mouth, and she was thrown to the ground, and that is how she passed away when she was in the hospital, because her skull and her ribs, they were shattered, and she passed away at the hospital. When I heard about this, I was completely surprised. Told my husband, told the uncle, and he said that the go back to sender has worked. From that day to this very day, I fear people and their homes. The things that the people that you see, and sometimes you look up to them, what they do when they have closed their doors, their curtains, and they do these things in the dark, they are very mysterious and evil. But I am glad that I was saved by the dangerous prayers that I did. This woman, she used to pretend as if she was holy. I just wonder what would have happened to him if she had not died. Maybe she was going to become one of the most famous pastors and prophetess to come out of Zim. This one, I'm pretty sure about it because of the way that she used to perform the miracles inside of her church. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to us by one of our dear sister. Let us speak with him in the comment section. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. What do you think about dangerous prayers? Do you think that it is right or it is wrong? Have you ever done a dangerous prayer? If so, you can come to my inbox and you can share with us your own side of the story at Brother Nashi on Facebook and on TikTok as well.